back to Bookish.Taylor. I am Taylor, and today I'm here to bring you my March wrap-up. I ended up reading 13 books and DNFing one, so let's go ahead and dive on in. The first book I finished was Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. I was supposed to finish these in February, but I didn't quite get to it. But I did finish this before I went on vacation. This was the second book in the Fifth Wave series, and I ended up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I would let you know what this is about, but it being the second book, I can't. So this picks up a couple of days after, I think 10 days after the first book ends, and yeah, it goes from there, and it's really good. I think I enjoyed this one. I think I actually enjoyed this more than the first one. It was really, really good. While the first one was incredible, it was just a lot of building and a lot of like action towards the end, but this one was pretty much all action, and it was really, really good. So then I come home and Manga-a-thon starts. So I go ahead and I pick up Ruby. This is a manga that is kind of based around the Rooster Teeth anime called Ruby, and I absolutely love that show so much. It's fantastic. This picks up somewhere in between, I think, season 1 and 2. They are just going through their lives at Beacon Academy, and I don't want to give too much into it because, like I said, it does kind of have a little bit of spoilers between seasons 1 and 2, but it's so good, and I really enjoyed this. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 because, like I said, it's not a Rooster Teeth, like, it's based on the show, but it's not Rooster Teeth produced. I don't know who the author is, but I guess it's kind of like not fan fiction, but like a fan story, but it's based around Ruby and it's relatively true to character. So I really did enjoy it, but just the fact that it's not, like, it reads kind of like fan fiction, and it's really different, and it kind of threw me off, but I did really enjoy it, and I'm really glad I picked it up. So thanks, Andy, because you bought this for me. The next one I picked up is the first collection, I guess, the complete collection, volume 1 of Orange. It has 3 of the 6 volumes in it, and I really enjoyed this. While I do see that there were issues between the poor main character, who is just, she's so shy, so aware of how badly she doesn't want to, like, rock the boat for anybody or anything. She just kind of wants to stay out of the way. And for this, if you don't know what Orange is about, it's about a young girl, and she ends up receiving a letter from herself 10 years in the future, and it turns out that a new transfer student has committed suicide, and she got a letter from herself in order to kind of hopefully stop it, but she's so shy and she's so scared of just everything, and it's really, really annoying because it's like, you know that this guy is going to die and you have an X amount of things that you need to be doing, but you can't. And it was so good. It was so relatable to me because I am that painfully shy. Like, I don't talk to people for fear of how they're gonna perceive me. So I really connected to her for that way, but it was just really nerve-wracking because it's like, this guy is gonna die and you're still terrified. You know how things end up and you're still terrified to do it. So I gave this a 4 out of 5. Next, I picked up were library books. I picked up volume 1, 2, and 3 of Sailor Moon, and I picked up volume 1 as soon as I finished Orange, and it was really, really good. It just follows a young girl. She is, I think she's 13 or 14, and she has just been told that she is a Sailor Scout. So she is a guardian of just the planet. It's so good, and she has all of these powers, and it's really, really good, and I remember loving it so much, and I'm loving it just as much now. So then after finishing volume 1 of Sailor Moon, I picked up Tokyo Ghoul. This is my second time reading this, and I loved it so much. 5 out of 5 for me. This follows a young boy by the name of Kaneki. He is a college student, and he is just trying to make his way, and he's trying to get this girl to notice him, but eventually she does take notice, and they go on this perfect bookstore date, and it's really cute. But as he's walking her home, finds out she is a ghoul, and ghouls run rampant in this version of Tokyo, and they are very much hidden. They look like humans, but they end up eating the flesh of dead people. So he goes on this date with this girl named Rize. He's a ghoul. She tries to kill him and tries to eat him, but as it turns out, she gets killed, and to save Kaniki's life, the doctor takes it upon himself and transplants Rize's organs into Kaniki, and that results in a half human, half ghoul. So this just follows him trying to find his way through the ghoul-infested Tokyo and try to figure out which side he belongs on. So it's so freaking good. I love this manga and this anime so much. So after that, I went ahead and I reread Tokyo Ghoul Volume 2. This one is the introduction of the investigators who are trying to kill off the ghouls. But being the second volume, I can't really give you too much, but there are investigators who come into this one, and that makes it relatively interesting. But this was another 5 out of 5. Next up, I picked up Sailor Moon Volume 2, and that just continues on with Agi, and she is gaining more allies. She ends up finding Sailor Mercury and Sailor Mars in this volume, and that's all I'm going to tell you. And then I also went ahead and I picked up Volume 3. This was the first time reading it, and it just keeps getting better and better. This is definitely when it starts to pick up and get a lot darker. So, oh man, it's heavy. And then after finishing Volume 3, I did go ahead and finish Volume 3 of Sailor Moon. They have found Sailor Jupiter and Sailor Venus, so, and a whole lot more has happened. It's so good. If you haven't read Sailor Moon, go read it. It is my favorite childhood anime, and it was the very first anime I ever watched, and go watch it. It's so good. So then after finishing Volume 3 of Sailor Moon, I went ahead and moved on to Volume 4 of Tokyo Ghoul. It just keeps getting better. I can't give you any more except for it just keeps getting better. Poor Kaniki. I feel so bad for him in that volume. And I feel even worse for him in this volume, which is the next thing I picked up, and it's Volume 5. Ugh, I feel so bad. It's so good. This is definitely probably my favorite of the 5 that I have read so far, because it's getting to the point to where it's my absolute favorite part of the series is the latter half of the first season, and we're getting to it, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, I love it so much. So that is the 10 manga that I ended up picking up for the manga-a-thon, which ran, I think it ran from, it was the 12th of March to the 18th. So for that week, I read 10 manga, and that really saved my rating because, man, I did terrible. So the next novel book that I picked up is The Last Star. This is the final book in the Fifth Wave trilogy. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. I still really enjoyed it. It just, I wish things had ended differently, but I completely understand why things ended the way they did, and I did give it a 4 out of 5. And finally, the last book I finished is Storm Siren by Mary Weber. Guys, this book is so good. It follows a young girl by the name of Nim. She is a siren. She can call storms. When she gets upset, she doesn't really have control over it in the first book, and so whenever anything kind of sets her off and really upsets her, she calls a storm and people die. And she's on the auction block for, I think, the 14th time or the 13th time, and she is getting ready to be sold once again, and she ends up being picked up by an advisor for the king, and sees Nim as a weapon for this war that the city of Phelan is losing, and she purchases Nim in the hopes of saving the country. And it just goes, Nim is trying to find her way and find control of her power, and it's just so incredibly good. It's so heartbreaking, and I can't handle how this ended, and I can't wait to get the other 2 books and finish them. They're waiting for me at Andy's house, and I can't wait. I don't see people talk about this, and I feel like people need to be talking about this. I know that this is an older series, but holy shit, it's so good. Like, I was not reading, and I was constantly thinking about it. I know I had a really hard time sleeping one night because all I wanted to do was pick up my book and read, but I couldn't because I needed to be going to sleep. So good, and I can't wait to finish the trilogy. All in all, it was a pretty crap month for me, but it was a really relatively decent reading month. It was, like I said, the whole manga-a-thon really saved my butt when it came to reading. I just didn't feel like picking up anything, but I did finally, get out of it towards the end of the month. So here are the 10 books that I still have with me that I finished in March, and then not seen here are the 3 that I had gotten from the library. So all in all, not too terrible of a reading month. Still, you know, a little bummed that my March was kind of crappy. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you tomorrow with my April TBR. Bye!